You are an indent on the planet Velis. Robbed of your freedom, you must work for the corporation that owns you until you've either paid off your debt, or much more likely, you're dead. In this bleak, cyberpunk-style dystopia, you and up to 3 of your friends will fight for your freedom through a dazzling and terrifying world. Welcome to the Ascent. Hyper-detailed and isometric, mostly action RPG, it marks the debut for Swedish developer Neon Giant, a small 12-man team made up from various industry veterans. Debuting in May of 2020, the title quickly grabbed people's attention. I love games like Diablo and Path of Exile, and taking that style of game and putting it in a guns-first, cyberpunk-themed world had me very excited. I'm happy to say that not only has it lived up to every expectation I had set for it, but it has far exceeded them. Also, it is available at launch on Game Pass. Indents are the slave class that are forced to work as indentured servants of the various megacorporations that run this universe. Your company is known as the Ascent Group. At the beginning of the game, it quickly collapses as its superpowered AGI, artificial intelligence, suddenly declares bankruptcy. Over the course of 15 or so hours, you are tasked with stopping rival corporations from destroying your home, keeping your home from destroying itself, and trying to figure out just what happened to the Ascent Group. Up to 4 players can team up in co-op, and the setup for it is perfectly realized. Every item that drops goes into everyone's inventory, whether it's money, guns, armor, or the other various pickups you'll come across. Every part of this game feels well thought out, from the way dialogue interactions work in co-op, where whoever initiates it gets the main view, and the others can instead just see floating text above the NPC, to the simple-to-understand build system. This is not a full-on looter, as there is a limited number of items for each slot, though I did find the variety to match perfectly with a title that wasn't trying to be a forever game in the veins of Diablo or Path of Exile. You will want to mainline the campaign to start though, as you need to get a few hours in before you truly see the breadth of options that are in store for your character. Things start with a simplistic character creator. They're kept to a male or female choice with a small number of options for changing your overall look. Various new cosmetic items are unlocked through gameplay as random drops, and by the end I had a decent amount of items to go through to change things up when I felt a bit bored of my current look. Thankfully, this can be done for free at any time by visiting a grafter in town. You have 2 main weapon slots along with a tactical slot that can range from various powerful grenades to stationary turrets and even calling in a mech suit. Ammo is only limited in how many rounds you have in each gun until you must reload. There is no scrounging for it, as you have no default attack other than shooting. No matter the weapon, you have an unlimited supply, and the only worry is how quickly you can reload each one. The skill tree is rather basic and is broken down into 4 different groups, with each group having 2 subcategories. It's an easy to understand system with numbers that never suffer from the wild inflation that you typically find in the genre. Each of these categories maxes out at rank 20, and there is no level cap, so you could theoretically max out every single stat all the way up to 20. Weapons work on a similar leveling system. You will find components of 3 rarities as in-game pickups. These are used to level up your guns so that they can keep up with the larger health pools of the ever higher level enemies. It can lead to new drops occasionally not being used until you get back to a weaponsmith to upgrade them at least once or twice, which can be frustrating. The armor system is limited to 3 slots. You have head, upper torso, and lower torso. Rounding things out are the augmentations, which are the most interesting part of the combat for me. With the first augmentation you unlock being a massive punch that obliterates enemies in a cloud of red dust and fiery bones. You'll quickly have numerous abilities at your disposal, and finding the right one for each situation feels fantastic. One small issue for me with the UI is how small the text can be on occasion. Whenever you pick up an item, there is the smallest area of the bottom left of the screen that states what you got. Items are only a name most of the time, so until you're familiar with them, you can be forced to search around for what it is you just picked up. That is, if you could have even read what it was. The map, thankfully, is great looking and decently functional. There are multiple levels to the city, and seeing exactly where your objective is can be a bit frustrating at times. Thankfully, though, a quick press of up on the D-pad and the game will show you exactly the direction you need to go and exactly how far you have to go to get to that objective. Left on the D-pad brings up a taxi system that allows you a quick travel at a cost of 1,000 in-game credits. Or you can find the metro line, which allows you to travel for free, but is not as convenient. The gunplay itself is a revelation for the genre. This is not solely an isometric game, as the camera routinely changes position on the fly. It'll smoothly go from a 3/4 overhead position to behind your back or directly from the side. These shifts are used often, and it feels brilliant every time. This all works in service of a cover system that you will need to engage with when things start getting really crazy around you. A press of the B button has your character crouch, and you must use the left trigger to raise your gun up so that you can shoot over your surroundings. It feels awkward at first, but quickly, it becomes second nature. This verticality comes into play with certain enemies that are either too short, and you have to shoot low to be able to hit them, or are floating too high, and you must aim up above, or else you'll shoot right under them. The armor is routinely hilarious looking, and at times I felt like I was someone straight out of the old arcade classic Smash TV. There is no transmog system like in Diablo, but you can change up your colors whenever you like in town. This does affect the circle under your character though, and the darker ones tend to be quite hard to see on the minimap in the top right corner of the screen when you're playing co-op. Playing on both PC and Series X for this review, after 30 or so hours of playtime, I still cannot get over just how stunning everything here is graphically. Running on the Unreal 4 engine at 4K resolution in 60 frames per second on the Series X and 1440p 60 frames per second on the Series S, this looks and feels like a proper new generation title. The use of color, perspective, and a commitment to their art direction has given us one of the better looking video games of all time. The fact that this has come from a development team of just 12 people is absolutely mind-boggling. The performance solo was near flawless, but I did run into what seemed to be a few sync-related hiccups while playing co-op. Multiple patches were deployed on both PC and console during the review period, and what had been a very rough start on PC was massively improved as my time went on. I have a rather modest laptop that was averaging roughly 45 frames per second at medium settings to start. After a few patches though, I was able to hit over 100 frames per second at high. Enabling DLSS with an NVIDIA graphics card let me run full ray tracing at medium settings and a locked 60 FPS at 1080p. The soundtrack is both what you'd expect from something cyberpunk and utterly fantastic. It knows when to go heavy during the action and when to hold off and play things more subtly. Voice acting varies between okay and excellent, with the alien Noghead being a particular highlight for me. Not only is the character believably voiced, but he's given genuinely funny and interesting lines. This is a tale of capitalism run amok, deceit, and the lowest class doing everything it can to try and survive. Thankfully, the main storylines and side missions alike are well crafted, and though many of them do end up being go here and kill them, or go here and get this for me in nature, the fact that they are so well made keeps things from ever feeling like a drag. The Ascent offers up both couch co-op and online play. Unfortunately, you're not able to do both at once. It's either couch co-op or online, and the two cannot mix. It does have full crossplay and cross-progression between the Xbox consoles and the Windows 10 store. However, Steam is its own secluded island and cannot interact at all with anyone that isn't on Steam. When you can play together, though, things generally worked really well, with only a few disconnects or crashes on the whole. Overall, I did run into a decent number of bugs. It did get much better after patching. One major one was a complete progression blocker for my co-op character if I pulled him into my own single-player game. The missions to progress simply don't exist in my mission log, so I can't advance the story. I have not been able to replicate this with any of the other characters I've created. Along with this have been a few smaller issues, such as audio of a gun shooting repeating until either I or my co-op partner shot again. Another small issue that cropped up for an hour or so and then fixed itself was my weapon UI disappearing. Occasionally also the sound effects wouldn't work. The patches really have seemed to help quite a bit with these issues, but if they're still prevalent at launch and not quickly remedied, I will have to come back and revisit the score on this one. On the accessibility front, things are limited. There are 3 modes to assist with color blindness, sliders for various audio levels, and options for changing exactly how the in-game subtitles appear. That is it though. Sadly, there's no controller remapping or difficulty modes. On the difficulty front though, the game does seem to take into account when you're struggling with a section, and it'll give you a bit of an easier time. That's anecdotal though, I'm not 100% sure it actually does that. There were also a few odd occasions where higher level enemies were in the way when heading to a mission. One time I had a mission that showed level 16, but there were level 22 enemies between me and getting to the starting point in one small section. I was able to make it past them, but it felt like an odd oversight on the part of the devs there. Wrapping things up, in the first 3 days of getting the review code, I put nearly 30 hours into the Ascent. Not because I had to, in fact, I had nearly a full week before launch to play the game. I simply could not stop because it was so ridiculously fun. Even now, with the full release here, all I want to do is play through it again and again. At $30 US, it is a steal, but it's also available day one on Game Pass. Stunning graphics, excellent music, innovative gameplay, and so many other factors come together to not only make one of the best releases of the year, but one of my favorite games of all time. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and if you do, please tick that little bell so you know where we post. We will see you here next time on XboxEra.